been a while since we talked about picking up elite trainer boxes. Not just booster boxes are booming right now in this Pokemon market, but ETBs are as well. It's been a while since I've done this video. It was at the start of the year and things have gone absolutely ridiculously crazy. So today we're going through a few ETBs and like picking out ones which I think have real good potential for that sweet growth down the line. Now I pick up a lot of ETBs. I aim to pick up at least one ETB or more for every set, and especially when it comes to Pokemon Center versions. We're not looking at Pokemon Center versions today. We're only looking at normal regular ETBs, right? Because Pokemon Center ones are kind of a no-brainer, but I want to look at ones where most people have got hold of them, or a lot easier to try and pick some up at least, because they will see incredible gains down the long term, right? That's what we're looking for, right? Down the line, but right now they're doing really well. So let's get into it. Okay, first of all, I'm talking about today, controversial. I don't know if it's controversial or not. But we're talking about Prismatic anyway. Look, they're not reprinting these ETBs, and like when they restock them, it doesn't really do much, right? The value of the set is incredibly expensive, like over $4,500 for the whole set, which is just unheard of for a set this new, and it's incredible, right? And a lot of people are like, yeah, but you know, the single card prices are falling like crazy. That set used to be worth like $8,000. Yeah, it did. But that's the downside of them printing a lot, and they was overhyped. But it's still, I think it's died down a bit. I do. I think a lot of people are looking at all the new shiny stuff that's coming out, and I think Prismatic is settling nicely and is doing quite well. And they're still pumping out product, right? They're still pumping out a crap ton of booster packs for this set, but not specifically ETBs, and not on this mass reprint that everybody was expecting. You go back and you look at Paldea Fates. There was a ton of Paldea Fates ETBs going around. Look at the price of that. Go back to 151. There was a ton of ETBs back then, stupidly printed, and look what's happened to that one. So when we look at the Prismatic ETB, it's $105. It's still double MSRP, or just over double MSRP, and it ain't going anywhere. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, it's gonna go below MSRP. The chances of the market price of Prismatic going to MSRP in this market, no chance. If you said to me a year ago it was this price, I'd be like, oh guys, I wouldn't even think about it, right? I'd be like, it'll drop like crazy, right? And even if you went back 2 years, I'd be like, you know what? Don't even think about it, because Pokemon's going to print more. But they're not printing more. They haven't printed ETBs or reprinted ETBs for sets for ages. It's like they don't want to, right? It's kind of weird. They're like, here, have all these different collection boxes, or we'll shove Prismatic packs and other stuff, and we'll do this and we'll do that. And it's like, well, what about ETBs? And they're like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. So it's kind of weird, right? So we're looking at $105. Yes, I mean, it has dropped since the incredible hype machine, what it was at the start of the year when it came out, when it was like, you know, nearly $140 in ETB, and it's dropped 18% by then. You're like, wow, you know, that's crazy. I mean, it did drop below 100, right? It did. 98. That was about it. And then it went straight back up to 110. To get down to like 50 is ridiculous, right? They would need to print, they need to do something that they've haven't done in a long time and just absolutely crash it, like Shining Fates level back in the day. But they just don't. It's so weird. And you could be like, well, Jace, you know, what if they do? And, you know, that's fine, but it'll bounce back really strong. You look at Crown Zenith, done very well, heavily reprinted, and look at that. ETBs are booming right now regarding Crown Zenith. And 151, I call it the modern day base set. It's because it is. It's so good. And, you know, I mean, it started off $86. Hype Machine carried this. Prismatic is very, very good. It's like, it's so good. So you've had a look at 151, you look at Prismatic, you look at 151, you look at Paldea Fates, you look at Crown Zenith. Prismatic has just got such high amounts of value to be found. It's so difficult. Over here in the UK, let's look at some ETBs, right? We're looking at £96 there. Pokemon Center version for 205, that's gone up. We're looking at, that's a German one. We've got 95, 185 for Pokemon Center version, normal version 105, Pokemon Center version over 200. So look, Pokemon Center version is going back up. It did drop. It dropped to like 150, 160, and now it's bounced back. In fact, it's now more than what I paid for, and I bought mine at like 150 a piece. Now we're looking at back over 200. ETBs over £100. That's a lot of money. That's expensive. Not budging, right? In fact, that's actually more than what I was paying for it when the set came out on the secondary market. On the secondary market, on eBay, I was picking up ETBs for like £80 a piece. And even then I was like, damn, that's expensive. And now look, it's gone up even more. They need to do a reprint, but I just don't see it happening. Next up, we've got Destined Rivals. I've recently talked about Destined Rivals in Invest for this month because I think Destined Rivals ETBs are fantastic. The set's incredible. Booster box is ridiculously expensive. You've got a really nice promo. It's Team Rocket. The box is insane. This is going to be a very, very good one. I think the Destined Rivals is going to be probably the best booster box era set in the Scarlet Violet era. And I think it's going to do very well in ETB form. You look at all the other ETBs in the Scarlet Violet era, especially the older ones, they're creeping up in price. You look at, in fact, we got one of these, and we've got a couple in this list we'll go through in a minute. But there are a few that have toppled over $100, and it's like, hang on a minute, these are just regular ETBs. You could have picked them up for $30 a piece quite comfortably, and there are a ton of them around. Destined Rivals come out of the gate high, and look what's going on. And even then, it's doing relatively well. So, you know, we've got $90 now. It did come out a really high amount, right? 2 months old. It dropped upon release as expected, right? And then it's trailing along, and it was like 85, and it crept up to around 90, and it dipped again. And then they dipped there from just shy, just under 90, went back up to 92. It's bound back up to just over $90 now. Incredibly good, right? I wouldn't be surprised if this reaches over $100 pretty soon. You know, this is a really, really good one. I mean, the one listing on here is $115, so this is going to be really good. Booster boxes, over $300 a piece now. Destined Rivals, even like in tins and collection boxes that they're trying to jam Destined Rivals in to get enough out there, they're selling out instantly. People want this set. They're going to want the ETB. And we look over here in the UK, recently sold for the ETB and Pokemon Center version there. You're looking at roughly around £75 a piece for the ETB, which again, I think is a pretty decent price. In fact, you can pick up some for just under 75. And, you know, booster boxes are like $280 a piece. So I think this is a really, really good set to look at picking up. I just think it's good, right? And you could say, well, it's only 2 months old. Look, even if they did reprint some ETBs and these ETBs dropped, I don't know, let's say they dropped down to £60, right? Or even if they dropped down to £50, which is still more than retail. It's going to go up over time anyway, so it's going to be really good. So, and you pick up more then as well, even better. So yeah, I do think this is a pretty good one. Okay, we're going something a little bit older. Surging Sparks, a little bit older. It literally came out in November last year. This has gone up like crazy. I was looking at ETBs the other day, and I saw the price of this, and I was like, wait a minute, there's no way. We're looking at basically $100 in ETB. In fact, it was over $100 and it's just dipped recently. That's crazy stuff. This is just the normal one. This isn't the Pokemon Center version, right? It did reach a high of $114. Just talked about Destined Rivals reaching over 100. Yeah, of course, if Surging Sparks can reach 115, Destined Rivals is way better than Surging Sparks. We go back over the last 6 months and look at the climb that it's made. I mean, yes, it has fallen a little bit, but it's still been around $100 from where it once was. And you know, you look at the normal price, it was like a $40 ETB. And then the sheer volume of sales and the amount of ETBs that were shifting, it quickly jumped right up. There's no way it was going to sustain its $40 price point. Not with that volume of sales, a increase in price. And now they're a lot harder to find. Look at the sales, they dropped massively because there's a lot less of them about now. And again, with Surging Sparks, they just don't want to reprint ETBs or booster boxes. They just like to shove Surging Sparks in so many other collection boxes and tins that we don't really get to see much else. And, you know, it's one of these things. Cool artwork as well. I do like it. I think the ETB looks amazing, to be honest. And I picked up one, right? I picked up one for retail. And even back then, these were everywhere. And I picked up one at retail, and I kind of felt kind of bad for buying it at the time. Because I was like, man, this feels expensive at retail. Now I'm like, holy smokes, it was a pretty good one. So, Surging Sparks. We have here Pokemon Center version for $155. Another Pokemon Center version for $170. That's another Pokemon Center. Normal ETB, nearly £110. That one best offer accepted. 105, 151. That's Pokemon Center version. 140 for the Pokemon Center version. That's not too bad. So in fact, if you're in the UK, I'd probably maybe look at splashing an extra £40-50 and picking up the Pokemon Center version. But the normal one's super expensive. Look, £101. You know, you could pick up the Pokemon Center versions for an extra 50 quid. So it's like, okay, which one will probably grow more on the long term? It's kind of interesting, right? It's like, okay, well, I can pick up 3 normal ETBs for 300 or 2 Pokemon Center versions. Which one will do better in the long run? I mean, probably the 3 normal ETBs, I would say. But yeah, very, very interesting. Okay, we're going back even further. Paldea Evolved. This one has been creeping up like crazy. Look at this. $100 as well. Just madness. It's gone up 20% in the last 3 months. I picked up one ages ago because I just liked the look of the ETB. I thought it looked really nice. I picked up, I don't know, like, I think it was like £30 back in the day. But yeah, $100, and it's increased like crazy. We go back over the past year, it's gone up 145%. Look at this. I mean, like I said, it was around like 30-ish, under 40 for ages. And then it started to see a big boom at the end of last year, going into the start of this year, which was obviously when the boom started. And it just kept going and going and going. It's like this year alone, look at that. It's gone like 55 up to $100. Beautiful ETB, amazing promo as well. Paldea Evolved is becoming more and more expensive and harder to find. And yeah, this is an ETB that's most likely not going to get reprinted. Similar to the booster box, this is an interesting one to get as well. Very, very cool. Okay, let's take a look at the ETBs. So we've got one here for £100, or just over £100. We're looking at this one here, practically 100. Pokemon Center version, at 339. Damn, I never picked up one. And they were on the Pokemon Center for ages back in the day. It's just madness, right? £100 there, 350. Two sealed ones for 190, so that's not too bad. Over 100, about £100, right? So more than it is on TCG Player when you convert it over to dollars. You look at probably around what, $120, something like that. So yeah, this is a very, very sought after product. So this will be a good one, I think. You know, you could see huge gains. Look at the Pokemon Center version, guys. That's a prime example of just absolute bonkers. £350? Are you mad? That's crazy. I kind of wish I picked one up now, but it is what it is. Okay, we're going back even further. Shining Fates. Now's the time to talk about Shining Fates. Now, it's quite funny because there was a running theme on this channel back in the day where I talked about picking up Shining Fates. And this was when Shining Fates was like 40 and it wasn't going anywhere. Everyone's like, this set's been printed to the ground. It's dead. You know, the chances of gaining much value on the set, you might as well just not buy it. It's just, yeah, terrible, right? That was kind of the general thought process of Shining Fates. We saw Hidden Fates get quite heavily reprinted back in the day, and it kind of sat there and quite stagnant around like 160 in ETB for a very long time. And Shining Fates kind of went the same way, right? It just kind of sat there, didn't do much for a long time, sat like $40, and it just felt like it was just like a no-hoper, basically. It was like, there's no way it's going to jump up. Now we're looking at $90 in ETB, and over the past 3 months, it's gone up 9%. This year alone, it's gone up 18%. But in the past year, it's gone up 92%. If you did pick up Shining Fates, if you go back on this channel, you know, you rewind it to even 3 years ago, I would definitely say more than 3 years ago, I was telling everybody, Shining Fates, I think it's good for like 40, 45. Yeah, I know I got heavily reprinted, but the set, it's got a really nice Charizard in it. People love the Fates set. They loved Hidden Fates, so why not love Shining Fates? You look at Paldea Fates now, and that thing's going to the absolute moon. You look at Hidden Fates now, it's over $400 in ETB, which is bonkers. So finally broke that 160 stagnant period. And same with the Shining Fates ETB. It broke the $40 to $45 stagnant period and is now more than doubled in value. This is just absolutely incredible. So yeah, I mean, this one could be going up. Well, it is going up really well, but it could be going up even more when we go into 2026 and beyond, because people really do like the Fate set. And the promo you get inside is quite nice. The EV Max promo is a nice promo. And this kind of saw a nice big boom with the release, of course, of Prismatic, which kind of helped drive this up even more. And we can see that here, right? We had the announcement of Prismatic and all the stuff coming, and it was like 54 in ETB. It was creeping up, but then it just went bang, it went up crazy. So yeah, very, very good. So let's take a look at Shining Fates here. So we're looking at about £75 in ETB. Wow, this one was even more expensive. Look at that. Over £90 in ETB. Damn. Shining Fates. So yeah, you're probably looking around about 70, 75 in ETB, which actually is quite funny because that was the price that I was pretty much paying for this when the set came out back in 2021. Because of the pandemic, it was very, very difficult to get hold of, and it was inflated price. And even back then, for it being 65, it did actually go up even higher, but I remember picking up for 65, and everybody was losing their minds going, on my days, look at how expensive things were. And now it's just even more crazy. So yeah, I like Shining Fates. I've always been an advocate of Shining Fates, just the Fate sets in general. I've always think they're good, and it's just one of these things: Hidden Fates, Shining Fates, Paldea Fates. You go back to Shining Legends, and it's just kind of the same thing. It's just absolutely amazing. So yeah, this one's doing pretty well. And last ETB we're looking at today is 151, the regular 151 ETB. This is an incredible set, an incredible product, and you're looking at $300 in ETB. I just talked about Hidden Fates breaking 400. This set isn't even that old. It took ages for Hidden Fates to break 300 or to get to 300. And look at this ETB. It's like, hold my beer. Over the past 3 months, it's gone up 36%. But we look back in the past year, and this is where we see it, 340% in value. It has just gone to the absolute moon. ETBs were $66. At the start of this year, well, leading up to the start of this year, it just went up and just kept going and going and going. They reprinted booster bundles. They've reprinted, of course, they printed Blooming Waters. They're reprinting all these other, restocking all these other Pokemon 151 type products. And look, we're just seeing the ETBs being untouched. It's weird that they haven't reprinted more 151 ETBs. It's so bizarre. But yeah, this is the market we're in. This is the situation we're in with Pokemon. The two big key products, ETBs and booster boxes, they just seem to forget that they kind of exist. And that's one of the reasons why we're looking at this, doing this type of video and looking at these ETBs, is they're really good. And back in the day, I would say I would have not necessarily avoid, but I wouldn't prioritize picking up ETBs in the Sword and Shield era, apart from maybe Evolving Skies, especially at that time, because it was like, why would I pick up a Chill and Rain ETB for like 30? They were everywhere. Why would I pick up a Astral Radiance ETB or a Lost Origin or a Silver Tempest? Like, you just didn't. It wasn't really that interesting. Even the Pokemon Center ETBs weren't that appealing. But because they've added the promo, they had the exclusive promo to the Pokemon Center versions, and they did not print these anywhere near as much as Sword and Shield era ETBs. This is the market that we're in. Let's take a look at 151. Wow, Pokemon Center version. Look at this, £620. Normal ETB, you're looking at 280. 500 for the over 500 for the Pokemon Center version. So for me, I've got two Pokemon Center version ETBs, and I have two normal ETBs, and even the normal ETBs are sitting at a really high price point. Look at all these Pokemon Center ones. Normal ETB sitting at around 260 in ETB. Just kind of blows my mind a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of bizarre, but yeah, I do think it has real potential. If we're looking at good older sets, Hidden Fates over 400. You look at something like Generations, it's like 1.2k for an ETB. You look at the Sun and Moon ETBs. You look at Evolving Skies. There's so many different sets that have just incredible ETBs. 151, Nostalgia, this set's incredible. It's going to do very well in the future. There you have it, guys. Those are some ETBs to look at picking up. Oh, of course, there are a few others which are really good to pick up as well, which we didn't cover today. Stuff like Obsidian Flames, Scarlet Violet base. Pretty much any Scarlet Violet ETB is very good, just because they come with that promo. For me, I like to get ETBs. Of course, you can see some ETBs behind me, but I like them. They're nice to display. They're good to collect. They're good to invest in. And on top of that, they're okay to store. They are sometimes a little bit bulky, but they're not too bad. Whereas like collection boxes or UPCs and stuff are absolutely massive. These are actually pretty good, and I do think they're good. And if you look back at older ones, you look back at the Sun and Moon era and so on and so forth, ETBs are silly expensive. So yeah, they're really good, and they don't tend to reprint them, and they definitely haven't in the Scarlet and Violet era, which is kind of bizarre. So it's kind of interesting when we look into the future, when we look at the megas and so on and so forth what's coming, how they're going to handle that in the future. Who knows? Guys, if you made it to the end of the video, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe for more Pokemon content. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments about ETBs. Which ones are you looking to pick up? What have you picked up recently? For me, I managed to get the Black Bolt White Flare Pokemon Center ETBs, which are absolutely incredible. I do like the look of those. I think they're pretty cool. I've been picking up some Destined Rivals ETBs, just normal ones. I've got one Pokemon Center one, and I've been picking up some normal Destined Rivals ETBs. I'm holding off on Prismatic. I have a crap ton of Prismatic, and for me it's like, let's diversify a little bit. Let's get a few other different things. I don't actually have that many Scarlet and Violet era ETBs from different sets. I don't have Obsidian Flames. I think I'm missing one of the... I think I'm missing the Scarlet out of the Scarlet and Violet, because they had two different ones. And then I'm missing Obsidian Flames. I've got Paldea Evolved. I've got Surgeon. I've got Twilight. I've got Paradox. I've got Stella. I've got Journey. I'm pretty sure I've got all of... I'm pretty sure I got all of them except Obsidian and one of the Scarlet and Violet base ones. So maybe I got to look at picking up one of those to finish off the collection. But yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But that's it from me, guys, in today's video. If you want more Pokemon content, make sure to click the video on the screen. And of course, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You guys are legends, and I'll see you in the next one.